No, no, we shouldn't. We should never have. It's never been an effective tool. I think everyone deep down knows this, that it was always a bit of a con. First of all, what I'm saying is obviously you should have some hard requirements for the role. Right to work in the country, certain number of years of experience if necessary, a certain qualification, which otherwise would bar you from the role. That makes sense. Doesn't need to be in a CV, but at least that's one way of transferring that information. But that's not really what we're talking about. What we're talking about is using a CV like a crystal ball and just say, oh, look at this personal statement. They probably aren't very passionate. Oh, look, there's a typo in the CV. They've probably got really low verbal reasoning. They're not going to be able to write documents. Oh, look at their hobbies. They're probably not very original thinkers, something like that, and that has always been nonsense. And the fact that candidates have historically been screened out on the basis of that nonsense is, I would say, deeply upsetting to me as a business psychologist. To put this in context, it's kind of like coral bleaching for a marine biologist. It's just the worst thing. It's so upsetting to see. Or it's like deforestation to like a climate scientist. This is awful. This is the worst thing that could be happening. Okay. When you have 1,000 fresh graduates, okay, vying for 10 roles, okay, and 900 of them get screened out on the basis of this sort of magical CV reading, that's exactly how we feel. It is so upsetting. It flies so in the face of what we're trying to achieve. It leaves so much on the table for the organization because all of the top performers have been screened out because everyone's CV, especially now that it's all written by ChatGPT, okay, now that everyone's CV is just made by AI, you're not learning anything about it, okay? It's pure random noise in the data. You don't need to worry about it. All you would ever use a CV for is just to make sure that they have the right to work in the country, whatever hard requirement that you have is met. And that would honestly be better served with killer questions in an application form. So no, fundamentally, not only do I not recommend you do it now, and now is the worst possible time to be doing this because every CV is written by some sort of AI language model. Even if it wasn't, there's nothing in a CV that would be useful to you. If there's a typo, it means nothing. If they haven't mentioned their favorite hobby, or if they have and you don't like it, that doesn't mean you shouldn't hire them. There's no information in there that would be worth anything in a selection context. So you can ignore it. So what do you do instead? Because, in the example I gave earlier, you've got 10,000 grads, 10,000 grads, 100,000 grads, and you need to get that number down because you can't interview all of them. And that's understandable. Obviously, the HR and the TA team, their resources are not infinite. And so you have to make compromises, but pulling CVs out of hats and magically reading into them and pretending that this person on the basis of AI generated text is not the way forward. What you need is a cost-effective, scalable solution for pre-employment testing, psychometric assessment. Okay, particularly with grads, that means ability testing. And that's how the big organizations do it anyway. The big professional services firms, the banks, they're not CV sifting because they don't want to lose their good candidates. They're using these assessments because there's a huge body of evidence that they are predictive performance, especially in graduate schemes. Grads and apprentices, any role where the first 3 years is just hardcore learning, okay, cognitive ability is going to be the most important thing, especially when it's the organization investing in those applicants, providing the qualifications, with training, with mentoring. That's a risk and that's a cost. You want a return on that investment. So you do everything you can to find those high performers. And you are not going to do that with the CV, but you are going to do that with aptitude testing. In doing so, you will maximize the quality of hire many, many fold. I'd like to give a number. I'd like to say, it's 10 times better than CV sifting, 100 times better. It's not calculable because it had no validity to begin with. So it's just all upside. So yes, you should drop the CV. It was never worth doing before. Find some way to make sure that your killer questions are met and then test thoroughly, early and often. And you will certainly find those high performers far more likely than you would be with CV sifting.